So we just gave you the beginning of the show about the Knicks and the Yankees, and now we'll check in on the Mets with the baseball columnist from the New York Post, Jon Heyman, who's been spending a lot of time in Port St. Lucie the last week. John, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Michael?
Good. What's jumped out at you about the Mets? What's the biggest thing that's impressed you, and the thing that should be a little bit of a concern for Met fans?
Well, the concern is easy. It's the rotation. They came in with really a terrific lineup and I would say a decent rotation with some questions, some depth, thankfully, because they're going to need it. Obviously, with Manaea out at least until mid-April and Montas out, they seem to be hopeful that he can be back around June 1st. I mean, the lat is a tricky one. I would look more toward July myself on that one. So that's the concern. I mean, impressed. They've had a number of things impress me, as I wrote about in the Post today. I mean, Juan Soto has really fit in beautifully. He told me he was nervous on day one, didn't seem to be. Broke some ice, giving a $92,000 Chevy Tahoe to Brett Beatty for number 22. Didn't really have to do it. It was already in the contract. I'd never seen that before, where the number 22 or any number was guaranteed to a player in a contract. But I mean, he did the right thing in giving Beatty that nice gift, which he can obviously easily afford. So he's fit in great. I mean, Clay Holmes has been terrific. Seems like he had some time in the Yankee bullpen and taught himself or somehow learned the changeup and a four-seam fastball. And he's got a full repertoire now and looks ready to go as a starter. So, I mean, there are a lot of little positives. Jose Siri has been fantastic, 3 home runs already. Beatty's been really good. Not sure he's going to be on the team. Not sure how he fits, but he has been really good and learning second base. They say they're going to try him at shortstop. I mean, that's probably a long shot. That's an issue with the Mets, really. Who's the backup shortstop?
Now, I look at the Met roster. Forget about the pitching and the bullpen. To me, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, there's one question mark about who's going to be that backup infielder. So how do you think that breaks down there?
I think it could be Acuna. I think they like him very much. He might have been bored at AAA last year because he, frankly, was not good. Came up to the majors, was great in the regular season at the end for the Mets when they needed him. And I think that makes sense as a potential platoon. I don't know if it would be a platoon, but get some at-bats with McNeil at second, who hasn't been great the last couple of years. That to me makes more sense because he's right-handed and Beatty's left-handed, and Acuna can play shortstop. He's very good defensively. So to me, Acuna fits, and I think they can find some time for him, although Alonso didn't miss one game last year. Vientos seems to be the healthy sort, and Lindor rarely misses any time. But I think they can find enough time for Acuna. I'm not sure on Beatty.
See, I wonder, though, the thing that would be a concern of mine, are you, stunting his progress? Because he's still very, very young, and he's looked at as an everyday player. So do you sign off on him as an everyday player if you bring him in as a backup infielder? Because you said it, John, other than the back injury, Lindor plays every day. And, I don't know if there's going to be enough at-bats to continue his growth as a player.
Well, I'm reading tea leaves here. They didn't sign Jose Iglesias, as we know, went to the Padres today. The solution to that, if you want Acuna to play every day, would be to sign a Jose Iglesias, who only got a minor league deal with the Padres. Mm-hmm. They didn't do that. So I'm under the belief, based on what they say about how much they like him in terms of whether he can help the team, that Acuna has a good chance to make the team, and I think he will play some. I mean, McNeil has not been great the last couple of years. Let's be frank about it.
So you think he and obviously he's a shortstop by trade, but you think he could play second a lot?
Oh, absolutely. He could play any position. He's very good defensively. I think he can. I mean, they have other guys here who are, backup types who could easily do it, like De Los Santos, but you want to win as many games as you can. This is a talented guy. I think there's probably 300 plus at bats for him on the team. I would do it, and I'm thinking it's leaning that way. I could be wrong, but that's the way it seems to be leaning to me.
Starling Marte, I would think that the Mets would like to deal. He's got a fairly big number of a contract, but if they don't deal him, I mean, is he just going to be a platoon DH?
Yeah, that's the way it looks. I don't see him doing much, and he was pretty good last year, and certainly was playing in the playoffs when there were other options available. Bader and others. So he still can play, but certainly $20 million looks pretty hefty, particularly when there are some outfielders who are still out there without a job who may be getting, minor league deals. Peralta, Grossman, Duvall, so $20 million, they'd have to probably offset it by at least 80%, I would think. And, teams don't love doing that, but, it might be better for him if they did do that, and it might ultimately work for them as well.
We're talking with Jon Heyman of the New York Post. I read you religiously, John. I pray over your stuff that you send out, but I just need to know one thing. You have been a big proponent of them. You've been a big proponent of them going after Cease. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think the Padres are going to trade him?
I don't. I mean, unless the ownership issue is untenable, and right now, they've got a managing partner, the brother of Peter Seidler, the beloved late owner of the Padres, but his widow is now suing. So, if it gets messy, they may have to make deals. That's the only thing. I mean, obviously, they're trying to win. They just signed Iglesias, as a backup, and going to give him $3 million. I'm assuming he's going to be on the team. They want to win. So I think it's a long shot. I don't think Castillo's getting traded now. A lot of the names that we've rumored around and thought that might get traded do seem to be staying put. I talked to Arenado yesterday, and it looks like, the likelihood is he stays with St. Louis. The Yankees were on his original list of 5 that he would go to, and he added the Mets later when it seemed like, he may be staying with a team that's not really looking like a contender. He added the Mets and the Phillies, but right now it feels like he's probably staying put as well.
So you got to explain something to me about the Cardinals. Okay, I know that Hein Bloom is taking over next year and they want to clean things up for him, but why would you give the season away? That's a great baseball town. They make a lot of money. I know their regional sports network has been up in the air, but they own that village, the stadium. There's a lot of money to be made there. Why are they just giving a season away, John?
Well, I mean, we're used to the Yankees, and now the Mets, that's Steve Cohen's the owner, that they don't give seasons away, and they try every year, and it's really kind of miraculous that the Yankees have been a winning team since 1993. I mean, that just doesn't happen. St. Louis is a pretty big revenue team, even though it's not in a big market. But I think they're conflicted. I think they weren't in a full rebuild mode, and they didn't press it as much as they could have, because they certainly, they're caught in the middle, which is not really a good place to be. They won 83 games last year. They look a little bit weaker now because their great setup guy, Kickfred, who got $10 million from the Orioles, is now gone. Logically, if you're going to do a reset, you would reset by trading that closer who had Big Helsley, who we saw yesterday against the Mets, who was big stuff and is one of the best closers in baseball. Eric Fetty has a market, a veteran guy, and you certainly would have traded Arenado. Now, Arenado, that's got complications because he's got the full no trade, and he did have a down year for him last year, making it difficult. The full no trade really can affect things, and it really has in this case. I think that's part of it, but they're caught in the middle, and that is not a good place to be.
Now, we're talking with Jon Heyman of the New York Post. So I see these pictures. Now, last year, I got to experience the Juan Soto experience every single day. He seemed very comfortable in that clubhouse. Obviously, he was comfortable on the field. He put together an MVP caliber season, but he almost looks like he's giddy. Are you seeing that? I mean, is there a different Juan Soto this year, or is it just $800 million?
If someone gave you $805 million, you'd be pretty happy as well, I think. I mean, you're doing okay, but not like that, So,
you know me so well.
I don't know. I mean, he said he was nervous on day one. He does seem, like he's really enjoying it. He did mention the fact that they have a lot of Latin players, which probably adds to the comfort. Well, I mean, I give him credit and Alvarez credit because I'm sure you took language in high school. I did. I basically know 3 words of Spanish, even hanging around the clubhouses. I mean, he came here from the Dominican not knowing any English, and now he does his interviews. He's been doing it for years without an interpreter. And there are guys who've been here 15 years who use an interpreter, and there's nothing wrong with it. They want to be sure. I think they certainly understand, but they want to be safe, and I get it. But you give him Alvarez credit for, doing their interviews in English, and learning English within a year or two. It's pretty amazing to me.
All right, final thing. So you've been there for about a week, and I'm just wondering, you're taking a look at this team. You said the pitching is a little bit of a concern, especially with the injuries. Are they better than the Braves and the Phillies?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Braves, they didn't do anything, but certainly getting the injury guys back this year, certainly Acuna's at full flight and Strider is fully going. They are very, very formidable. The Phillies didn't do a ton, but they did add Luzardo. They did add Kepler in the outfield. They're pretty strong as well. I am kind of leaning Mets. I do believe they have the best lineup this side of the Dodgers. The Dodgers have the best of everything. They have the best rotation, maybe the best all-time rotation. They have the best bullpen, maybe the best all-time bullpen. And I kind of give them a little bit of an edge in the lineup over the Mets and the Yankees and some of the other teams who have very good lineups. But that Met lineup is pretty strong. So I think they can do it. But, I think people are going to see it as a 3-way race that's fairly easy.
Good stuff, John. I'll talk to you later. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, you'll be on with me. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Yes,
Mike.
on John and Joel's podcast. I'll do that a little bit later. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Mike. Always good.
That's Jon Heyman of the New York Post.